fellow bookworms to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today I have a Throwback Thursday for you guys. And I'm also going to do a little mini haul for you guys as well. We went to the thrift store over the weekend to pick up the dog's new stuffed animals, and I always look at the books. So this is kind of my budget for August. I'm just using it a little bit early. I got several books that I'm pretty excited for. And the reason I'm adding it for my Throwback Thursday is two of them are part of a kind of companion to a series I recently covered for my Throwback Thursdays. So I thought I would just add on the whole haul to this video. But we'll go ahead and get to that after I talk about the two books that I read, which were both dog books. Again, we through my horse section of my Throwback Thursdays, and now we're into the dog books. I think after these two, there's like two more that I'll be reading next month, and then um, I have some more like teenage, like R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike books and such that I'll be reading before we'll actually kind of turn this Throwback Thursday more into like a kid's corner. So I'm really excited about that. But as always, before we get into it, if you could remember to give this video a like, it really does help out the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on a thing. And I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. I will say though, reading these dog stories, like last month I read Old Yeller, which of course is very upsetting, and then Champion Dog Prince Tom, which that one's not upsetting at all. It's more like this underdog and it's kind of inspiring. But these two I read this month were very upsetting, and I'm like, what is up with this theme? First I read Sounder, which kind of had like depressing vibes, like Old Yeller, father gone, and the boy and his dog, but the dog ends up getting hurt and such, trying to protect the family. So this one was rough, but we'll talk more about that. And then I read Jock's Island, which doesn't have the same vibes, but still very, very upsetting regardless. And I'm just like, what is up with these dog stories? I don't understand why they're so sad. So, but yeah, I guess let's start with Sounder. That's the one I read first. And so this one, I didn't know anything about it going in. I don't remember reading it as a kid, but it's been on my shelf forever. There is a movie made out of this. Obviously, this cover, you have the movie cover. So, but this one, basically, you have this boy and his father has this coonhound. And so it starts off, he's talking about his dad and this coonhound, and how he really looks up to his dad and such. But hunting hasn't been really good. And so his father ends up doing something in order to feed his family essentially, and gets caught, so he ends up going to jail. And in the process something happens to Sounder, and so Sounder's injured, his father's gone, and he's now kind of the man of the house essentially. And he's always had this dream about learning how to read too, so that kind of plays a part in the story as well. And basically it's less about Sounder than it is about this boy and his father, and him looking and searching for his father. He spends years trying to find his father and trying to find out what happened to his father. um, and in the process he has an opportunity to learn how to read, but he's now the man of the house and he's having to fill they kind of have like these plots of land, um and they have to harvest so much to give to basically their landlord in order to keep the land. And so he's now having to fulfill that role that his father had as far as like planting and harvesting and such. So but yeah, basically the bulk of the story is just him trying to find out what happened to his father. And it is kind of inspiring because Sounder gets injured and he never gives up hope on Sounder, and then he never gives up hope of finding his father. And then he's, trying to figure out how to take care of his mom and the house and the land and such while still following his dreams as well. But really upsetting in the beginning, and then the end is like so bittersweet. Like something happens at the end that you're thinking, oh, but then it's just sad. So, very, very good read. Like it's short, of course, but it was very good, and a lot was packed into such a short book, and I thought it was really, really well done. And it also has little pictures from the movie, which I thought was pretty cool. So you can see here it has like the different pictures and such. But overall, a very solid read. Has a great atmosphere. You're in the South, you really feel like you're in the South. And this young boy having to navigate, working the land and such, and not being able to go to school, and then taking care of the family, and kind of being put into an adult role while he's still a boy. So it's definitely a coming of age story. And like I said, it's more about him trying to find his father than him and the dog, but the dog does play a big role. And just the loyalty of the dog, to the end is always amazing. So very sad, but very good as well. And then next, I read Jock's Island, and this is by Elizabeth Coatsworth. Sounder is by William H. Armstrong. I don't think I mentioned that. So, Jock's Island, this one, very short as well, has lots of illustrations, which I really enjoyed. Um, and this one, you have Jock, and he's a border collie, and he's on this island, and he has his master who isn't very loving, but is very fair. And Jock is a working dog, and he's charged with these sheep and such. And so he brings down the sheep to be sheared, but he's missing two, so his owner sends him back off. And when he ends up coming back down, everybody's gone. And they live on this island, and it's an active volcano. And so that's kind of the premise, is why everybody ends up leaving. And so you have this volcano, and Jock is left to this island. But there's all the animals, and they're just kind of allowed to roam free. And so it's mainly told from Jock's perspective, which I really, really enjoyed. But this one's sad as well, because before the people leave, they end up killing off all the dogs on the island because they don't want them to eat the livestock, like the sheep and the cows and such, while they're gone. Because their plan is, once the volcano, goes to sleep again, essentially, that they'll come back and resume their lives. And so they end up killing off all these dogs. And so you have Jock, and he escapes that because he's having to go back up for these two um, sheep. And so he ends up escaping that, but he comes back to find all his doggy friends gone, and all the people gone, and just a bunch of cats and livestock everywhere. And so he doesn't know what to do. Like, he's like, what do I do? Nobody's here. And he ends up, just kind of doing his job because that's all he knows. And so, yeah, it's this one, why the dog section was very upsetting. Overall, this was a fun, short little read, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, and I love, like I said, I love the illustrations. But it was fun, because you have Jock, and he's like doing his thing, and I liked how it was told from his perspective, about his job and protecting these sheep, and just trying to do his job, and his confusion and everything. Like, I thought this was really, really well done. And really, really enjoyable. So definitely a good one for sure. If you ever come across it, I definitely recommend picking it up. I think, I mean, other than the dog part, I think the rest of the story is a fun one for kids, but the dogs being killed essentially is very upsetting. But maybe if you're reading it to your kid, you can kind of skim over that somehow. But otherwise, a very enjoyable, cute book. And even as an adult, I really enjoyed the story for sure. So that is Jock's Island. Now I'll go ahead and go into my little haul. And so the reason I'm adding it on to the tail end here is because I got two more Thoroughbred books. Now, this one is one of the super editions, which I had Ashleigh's Diary. And so this one is Ashleigh's Christmas Miracle, and these are done by Joanna Campbell. And so in this one, this is when Ashleigh is an adult. She's now married to Mike, and they're having a baby. And so this is kind of during that time something happens that kind of threatens her and the baby. And so she's kind of having this dream about the future essentially. But yeah, really excited to have this one. I might save this one and read it at Christmas time, since it's, Ashley's Christmas Miracle. But yeah, I found this one and it was actually in the adult book section. So I was like, cool. Good find. So yeah, I'm adding this one to my Thoroughbred collection. And if you didn't see my Thoroughbred Throwback Thursday, where I read the books I had in that series, I really enjoyed the series up until it switched more to Samantha, because I really, really like the character of Ashleigh. So, like, the super editions with her are definitely ones I'm going to collect. Past that, I'm not as interested in collecting them. I mean, I might if I come across them, but I'm just not as interested just because I didn't enjoy them as much once it kind of switched off of Ashleigh as the main character. But really excited to have the Super Edition. And then this is kind of like a spin off of the Thoroughbred series. And so it's Thoroughbred, but it's Thoroughbred Ashleigh. And so these are all about Ashleigh's. I think these are more about her time before they get to Townsend Acres. And so in this one, it's Lightning's Last Hope. And so Ashley Griffin thinks horses are the most wonderful animals in the world. She can't imagine why anyone would want to hurt a horse. So when Ashley discovers Lightning living in a filthy stall on a neighbor's farm, she can't ignore the horse's suffering. Ashley knows Lightning isn't her responsibility, but Ashley is sure that Lightning's life is in danger if she stays with her abusive owner. How far will Ashley go to save the beautiful horse? And so these are when they're on Edgardale, which was her family's farm before like everything like said took place in the Thoroughbred series. So I can't remember how many of these there are. I think I looked it up and I want to say like around 10. um, but yeah, I'm really excited to have found this one because I didn't even know about this little spin-off series at all. And like I said, I really enjoyed Ashleigh in particular. And so I'm really excited to start looking and keeping my eye out for these ones. And it worked out that this is the first one, of course, in this little spin-off series. So I'm really excited to have that as well. And then this is one I was actually talking to my husband recently, and this is one, this series has been on my radar for a while. When I worked at my first vet clinic, the doctor there recommended this series to me. And there is a television show, which I really don't have any interest in watching the television show, but I've always wanted to read the book because it was recommended to me years and years ago. And that is, of course, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And so, yeah, I now have this one. Like I said, I saw it there and I was like, perfect. Like I've always wanted to read it, and I was actually talking to my husband recently about wanting to read this series. So, um, got this one that I can read, and then this is another one that I've been thinking about recently, and this is a classic. And it's Dante the Inferno. So, yeah, this is one that I've been thinking about, and I'm familiar with it. I don't know if I've ever actually read it or just kind of read like a synopsis of it. Um, but it's been on my mind, and so when I saw it, I was like, I have to grab that one. And so now I have the Inferno. So excited to have that. This next one was one, they have a deal at the thrift store that I go to at Savers, and you buy four and you get the fifth one for free. And so I was just trying to add, this was before I found the other thoroughbred Ashleigh, because that was on the children's side. But the Site by David Clement Davies. This isn't one author I'm familiar with at all, but I saw the spine and it looked interesting and I pulled it out and it sounded interesting. It sounds like it's told from the viewpoint of wolves. And so it says it is an icy night in the country that long ago was known as Transylvania. The wintry ground crackles as the hunter's paw breaks the hard earth. The wolf pauses, her breath like smoke in the cold air. Then a howl pierces the night, but it's her eyes, not her howl, that speaks of danger. Beware of the sight. So, just sounded like I love wolves, and I like stories that are told from animal perspectives. So I thought this one would be worth the try for sure. And then lastly, this is an author I've never read, so don't come at me. I know very, very hyped everywhere. But I tend to kind of shy away from authors or books that are really, really hyped up because I always worry they're just gonna let me down. They're not gonna quite live up to the hype. And so this is an author like kind of not really interested in trying. But when I came across this book at the thrift store, and it's the first in the series, of course, I was like, you know what? Like, why not? Let's jump on that train and give her a try. Can't be, $4 for this book. And so that is, of course, Sarah J. Mass, and we're going to be reading A Court of Thorn and Roses. And so yeah, excited to finally try this author. I know, like I said, she's very hyped up, and I'm hoping I'm not disappointed. But going to give this a try, like I said, I found it at the thrift store, and so if I enjoy this book, then I'll definitely try more. Otherwise, I'll just kind of go back to kind of ignoring her. So, but yeah, found this and you know couldn't pass it up essentially. So, that is my little haul here. Really excited to have all these books. So, like I said, it's definitely some good finds, especially, um, these books that I've been wanting to get, like the Inferno and Outlander and such. So this is the little mini haul that I did. And so all these books were like 1874 or something like that. A couple of them were closer to $4, some of them closer to $3, a couple $2. I think this one was like 179 or something, and of course one of them I got for free because it has the five buy four but get the fifth free. So that is my mini haul, and then of course Sounder and Jock's Island are the books I read for my Throwback Thursday. If you've read any of these books, definitely let me know. Um, and if you're into like little dog stories, so Sounder it has more like Old Yeller vibes, kind of upsetting, but Jock's Island, why it had that upsetting aspect, was a fun, cute little story. But yeah, definitely good books, and I'm excited to have the other ones to add in and read at some point. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.